You're tuned in to While We Were High. This segment here is called Creative High. In Creative High, we focus on musicians, artists, photographers, poets, individuals who are incredibly talented in their own right. And in this episode, episode 1, we are talking to Moon. Now, Moon, I had met, I didn't even know that she was a singer. I didn't know that she was a musician. I met her just in passing one day and I was struck by her energy. She's just like a bundle of light. In talking with her, realized that she makes jewelry and she makes the most beautiful jewelry. However, what we're talking to her about today is the fact that she's an incredible musician, singer, songwriter, vocalist, and what we're going to be talking about with her today is her own journey in terms of reclaiming her power, her relationship with cannabis as well, and just sit back, relax, and enjoy. You're tuned in to While We Were High. This segment here is called Creative High. In Creative High, we focus on musicians, artists, photographers, poets, individuals who are incredibly talented in their own right. And in this episode, episode 1, we are talking to Moon. Now, Moon, I had met, I didn't even know that she was a singer. I didn't know that she was a musician. I met her just in passing one day and I was struck by her energy. She's just like a bundle of light. In talking with her, realized that she makes jewelry and she makes the most beautiful jewelry. However, what we're talking to her about today is the fact that she's an incredible musician, singer, songwriter, vocalist, and what we're going to be talking about with her today is her own journey in terms of reclaiming her power, her relationship with cannabis as well, and just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome, Moon.
Greetings.
You're gonna have to tell me and the listeners. So we're going straight into this. So welcome to While You Were High, or While We Were High. And for the listeners who are just maybe catching on to the theme, which would have been hard to not perceive of, we're talking about reclaiming your feminine power. And thought it perfect to have Moon grace us with her presence for this episode.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about that song. You said it's originally 13 minutes long?
It is definitely 13 minutes long. That was one of the few songs that was written in 2 stages. Most of my music tends to happen all at once. Mm-hmm. I was just playing the chords and started singing along to it. But I got maybe the first 2 or 3 verses the first time. And then a few days after, while singing it again, more just started coming to me. And so I wrote it down. When I recorded it and looked back at it, it was a little over 13 minutes.
It's beautiful though.
Thank you.
So the theme of our first episode here is reclaiming your feminine power. Having gotten to know you a little bit since recently, you're obviously a very strong woman. You exude a certain amount of strength for your tiny size. But have you gone through a moment in your life where you felt like you needed to reclaim your power?
Oh, many of them. I certainly have not always felt my strength the way other people have perceived it. So it's interesting to get feedback and hear people's perceptions of you. While they're not the only reality, and we shouldn't gauge ourselves on other people's perceptions, it is still a reflection of your public self at the very least. So yeah, I have been up and down with depression, anxiety. For most of my life, I'd say the past 3-4 years have been the healthiest. But high school was rough, early 20s were rough. So, giving thanks for growth.
Yeah.
Definitely feel stronger now. I can acknowledge that within myself, but it wasn't always like that.
How did you get to this point in your life where you feel more confident with where you're at, mentally, emotionally?
It began with me honoring myself in big and small ways, honoring my truth, whatever that was in a moment. Overcoming the fear of disappointing people in general, family especially, because at the time when I would have started, my family was still my main support system. Late teens and all of that. So to go against, the people who are supposed to be there for you the most, it's a frightening thing sometimes to stand up to them in that way. And the more I did it, the small steps count, it became easier. You still have the emotional side effects to deal with when other people are now receiving these new versions of yourself. But or at least I found I felt more confident facing opposition because of the power and the just how much it resonated with me, how good it felt to be honest with myself, to be honest with myself in public, and yeah, that was empowering.
What would be your advice to a young woman who is either struggling as a single mom, which you are, not many people may know, or a young artist? What would be your advice for them?
I think one of the hardest things, and something I'm still working on, is learning to admit when you need help. It can be very daunting to ask for assistance, and many of us are raised to believe that we need to do it all on our own, that the definition of a woman's strength is how much she can handle by herself. And while there is certainly a level of strength and independence, it's not human nature to be alone. And so, without being codependent necessarily, but knowing when you've reached your limits, where your boundaries are, acknowledging those, and especially in terms of motherhood, when it comes to your art, don't do anything that's not passionate. Art shouldn't be mediocre. It's not meant to be nice. It's not meant to just
color in between the lines.
Yeah, if something ends up being nice, that's fine, but make sure that that's coming from a genuine place. Don't create music, paintings, whatever it is you're doing, don't create it to please somebody else. It should be an expression of your soul. And the artists who always inspired me the most were the most raw, they were the most vulnerable. Vulnerability, I find, is key in creation. So allowing yourself to be that, as frightening as it can be.
Earlier in the episode, Karen Carpenter said that to have it all, you have to decide what you want to sacrifice. Is there anything that you have had to sacrifice along the way?
Definitely, especially balancing motherhood with my career. I sacrificed time to stay home and nurture my kids in a particular way because that was important to me. So that was a decision I made. Everybody is entitled to do things differently, but you do have to live with the ramifications of your decisions. So here I am, in some ways, just starting my professional career, and not because I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, but because I took a little bit longer with certain things. I also was not ready to be on stage for a while, so it's okay to have talent and not be ready to use it. because you need to be prepared for even things like this. There was a time somebody asking me questions would give me great anxiety.
You're handling it well.
So, and I don't feel anxious. So even that, this is a testament of growth for me. I wasn't prepared for these things 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, even though I was singing and doing corporate gigs and covers and stuff like that. But putting my own work out there, it's very vulnerable. It's very emotional, very deep and personal to me. So you have to be ready for those things. You're going to sacrifice social events, you're going to sacrifice birthdays, holidays with family. All of those things come with it. So it's figuring out what's important to you, what you're willing to give up, what you're willing to live with. Are you going to sit here and feel a year's worth of guilt because you missed somebody's anniversary or whatever? Even your own anniversary. You'll miss important dates to you. Figuring out what your goals are and how far you're willing to go to get them.
And you touched on the fact that you're kind of coming back full circle to being at the start of your professional career as a musician, as a recording artist. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
First time I went into a studio, I was 15, but I wasn't as confident as I am now in terms of saying to a producer that, while this sounds good, that's not what I want. Or even though I don't play all of these instruments, I know it's not supposed to go like that. And not feeling like I had the authority to say to a grown man, this is wrong. At 15.
Even when you know better.
And then even at 18 and 19 or whatever, just, there's a stigma with vocalists sometimes, and it's a touchy subject among musicians. Some vocalists do come with certain attitudes, and I understand that some instrumentalists have had bad experiences with vocalists. So being respectful of that, I found I was sometimes making myself small in the studio and not saying the things that should be said, and then hearing something and not being satisfied and not supporting it. Even though nothing was inherently wrong with the product, but it's just not where I want it to go. So right now I am much more prepared to fight for my vision. The album I'm working on is very, very important. My music is so sacred. So I'm not going to allow just anybody to be on it. First of all, the energies coming together to put it together are important to me. And speaking up, even if it becomes an uncomfortable conversation, and moving through that, because I know I won't be satisfied any other way.
You touched on that kind of fear at the start of your career of not being willing to speak up. Do you find that more women than men experience that fear in music?
I think I'd have to ask more men. I know, I can speak from a vocalist perspective, but I know male vocalists sometimes have felt that inauthority or lack of authority. I'm not sure if it's a word. Also,
We'll make it a word.
Yeah, we'll make them up all the time. But being able to play guitar has helped. I mean, I was always playing piano, but I didn't perform piano, so a lot of people weren't looking at me as an instrumentalist. Being known as a guitarist helps. I'm perceived differently among other musicians, and there aren't enough female instrumentalists performing. We're around, but a lot of us don't know each other. We're not connected, and it's not that we can't play instruments. We just need to see more of us up there. And then I think that it would be more balanced. Maybe if we had more women producers, maybe if we knew more about what was happening behind the scenes, we wouldn't feel as intimidated saying something. But the production world is very largely still a man's world. There's only maybe 1 or 2 female producers I know in Jamaica. And I think we should promote that. Women to learn about it.
So you spoke about promotion just a while ago. So Moon is an amazing jewelry maker. Can I say jewelry maker?
Yeah, so the business started out with jewelry. It's evolved a bit beyond that. I consider it more of a spiritual business right now. It's very much an intimate spiritual practice.
And your slogan is "Wear your intentions." Yeah, which I found very, very powerful.
Yeah, I want people to step out of that autopilot mundane thing. Even if you're going to a 9 to 5 and you have to wear a suit or a dress or whatever every day, putting something different into it, being very deliberate and intentional when you get dressed, and when you set yourself for the day. If you have, say, a big meeting today, you need to speak more, maybe wear a throat travel style. Wear something that makes you feel good. Wear a different color, because there's color therapy. All of these things carry different energies, and I just want people to think more.
And it's so funny because in the earlier segment with Karen, we spoke about mindfulness. And mindfulness being a very important element to being able to kind of reclaim your power, as it were. You have to be mindful in the moment, mindful with your actions, who you're talking with.
Who you share energy, who you allow into your energy. I actually wrote a post about it yesterday, about guarding your words, minding your thoughts, being very purposeful in your actions, because every small thing has a ripple effect. And you may not always see how they're interconnected, but they are.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like the listeners to know, like especially where they can find you? How can they get in contact with you?
Okay, there's a website that connects right now to everything I'm doing: music, jewelry, spirit practice, visual art. It's earthandmoon.net. The business Instagram is earthandmoon_, and for my music / personal, it's osu.emi.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Will you carry us out with a little music?
Sure.
No pressure.
Oh.